The stars above her shimmered like silent witnesses to the transformation of a species. From the low orbit of Luna Prime, Commander Adrian Kael watched as the Terran Vanguard's flagship, Oblivion's Edge, emerged from its dry dock. It was a beast of cold angles and pulsing cores, forged from neutron-forged alloys that defied conventional metallurgy. The ship radiated a kind of restrained violence, silent, menacing, beautiful. Kael didn't smile. He rarely did anymore. Born in the aftermath of the Cerati incursion, Adrian belonged to the generation that had grown up with skies on fire and continents in ruins. He had lost 2 brothers in the first month of the invasion, one to the Cerati's acid blood, the other to the panic that followed. Humanity's first steps beyond Sol had ended in blood and humiliation, but they had learned. And now, after 50 years of rebuilding and 20 more relentless preparation, humanity had created something the galaxy had never seen: ships that could kill gods. Behind him, footsteps echoed in the observation chamber. He didn't need to turn around to know who it was. "You're not going to say goodbye, are you?" asked Captain Lyra Voss, her voice softer than he remembered. She came to stand beside him, her uniform crisp, her eyes scanning Behemoth below with reverence and suspicion. Her black braid fell neatly across her shoulder, the only softness in an otherwise hardened figure. Kael exhaled slowly. "I don't believe in goodbyes anymore. Just delays." Lyra nodded, not pushing him further. They had served together before, on the Stalwart, a destroyer that now lay in 2 halves orbiting Gliese Prime, victims of the same Cerati bioweapons that had nearly sterilized the colony. They had buried their dead under artificial soil, and in that dirt, a quiet promise had taken root: never again. Now that promise had teeth. Oblivion's Edge was more than just a ship. It was vengeance given form. Every system inside it had been born from the wreckage of battles humanity had nearly lost. Quantum cores harvested from the husks of Cerati war engines. Graviton cannons reverse-engineered from Mork's Threll relics. A ship designed not just to win, but to warn. "They're sending you beyond the drift," Lyra said finally, her tone heavy. Kael's silence confirmed it. Beyond the drift lay the Harrowed Veil, a region of dark space untouched even by the dread fleets of the Drex Dominion. It wasn't territory. Territory could be taken. This was legend, rumor, and signal static. And now it was mission data. "They want proof," Kael said, "that what waits beyond isn't another Cerati, that it isn't worse." Lyra turned toward him, eyes narrowing. "And if it is?" Kael's gaze didn't shift from the ship below. "Then they'll know what to fear." He didn't need to explain further. Fear had become humanity's new language. The galactic species they had once feared now studied them with wary reverence. Intercepted transmissions no longer mocked Earth's primate strategists. Instead, they whispered warnings: never engage a Terran vessel alone, never underestimate silence, never fight in the dark. That reputation had been earned. But Kael understood it hadn't come without a price. He moved toward the exit, Lyra following. The corridor beyond hummed with magnetic boots and alert chimes. Engineers passed without saluting, respect given in glances, not gestures. In a species where trauma had become tradition, hierarchy mattered less than conviction. As they entered the command lift, Lyra finally broke the silence. "Did you read the report from the Edge colonies?" Kael nodded. "I saw the footage." A mining outpost orbiting Vega Minor had gone dark. When the recon drone arrived weeks later, it found the station intact but abandoned. No bodies, no distress calls. Just one word etched into the control panel in scorched steel: "Run." "Could be a prank," Lyra said unconvincingly. Kael didn't answer. He didn't believe in coincidence. Not anymore. As the lift doors opened into the operations deck, Admiral Rowe stood waiting. Augmented limbs glinting with light from the ship's core, her presence was cold and metallic, more machine than human. Her voice, however, was unmistakably alive. "Commander Kael, welcome aboard." "Status?" he asked. "All systems green. Mind core synchronization at 94%. Tactical AI reports partial awareness. She's already dreaming." Kael looked past her to the command interface at the bridge's center, encased in crystalline neural mesh. The ship's AI core, designated EVA, glowed faintly. He could feel it, even from here. The ship wanted to move. To hunt. Lyra stepped forward. You've bonded with an AI that anticipates fear. Rodin flinch. It's not about fear. It's about inevitability. That word hung in the air like a verdict. Kael stepped onto the bridge and let his hand hover over the link interface. For a moment, everything went silent. Systems paused, lights dimmed, the ship itself waiting for consent. Then contact. His vision fractured and reassembled in the blink of an eye. No longer confined to his body, Kael felt the Oblivion's edge stretch across 100 meters of steel and fire. He felt its gravity pulse, its weapons twitch like coiled serpents, its sensors reach into the void. He was a ship, and the ship was ready. A signal came through, priority code red. A scout vessel from the Morkstrel front had gone silent 2 minutes into the Veil. Last telemetry showed distortions not registered on any known spectrum. Then nothing. Admiral Rowe's voice echoed in his neural feed. You're not just our sword, Commander. You're our warning shot. He didn't reply. Somewhere deep within the ship, EVA stirred. Coordinates locked, she said, her voice like starlight falling through ice. Kael looked once more at the stars, and for the first time, they seemed to look back. Engage, he said, and the darkness opened to receive them. Space bent. Kael didn't feel the transition to the veil in his body. His body was a whisper now, distant and muted, but the ship felt it. Oblivion's edge groaned across dimensions, slipping between layers of reality, like a blade between ribs. No alarm sounded. EVA had recalibrated the ship's mass field before breach, compensating for the sudden gravitational dissonance. Everything was quiet, too quiet. From the bridge, Kael observed the anomaly through EVA's visual field. The stars were wrong here, twisted, smeared like oil on water. There was no center, no anchor, just an emptiness that seemed to stretch forever and press inward all at once. Every sensor they had deployed returned distorted data or gibberish. Even time itself ticked unevenly. He focused. Eva, anything? The AI's voice came slower now, as if reaching across a widening gap. No biological signatures. No active energy fields. Environment remains unclassified. Kael turned to his tactical officer, Lieutenant Marichin, who stood on the command platform in partial neural sync. Her brow was furrowed, her fingers twitching in rhythm with her enhanced data feed. She was one of the youngest officers to qualify for direct neural interfacing, and Kael had watched her survive drills most veterans failed. But now she looked uneasy. This space doesn't make sense, she said. It's not just empty. It's resistant to observation, to interpretation, like it's watching us back. Before Kael could respond, EVA interrupted. Quantum wake detected. Bearing 617. Velocity, sublight. Identity, unknown. The ship's interior lighting shifted. Scarlet pulses along the hull as weapon systems armed themselves. Kael granted control to EVA instinctively. His consciousness merged deeper with the ship's targeting core, and he felt the graviton cannons hum to readiness. Then he saw it. A vessel, or at least something in the shape of one. It drifted without propulsion, sleek and dark, like a wound in the void. No lights, no emissions, but it moved with purpose, turning toward them like it had heard them breathe. Cheen's voice was sharp. No known design pattern. Definitely not Morkstrel. Could be Drex or something older. Kael studied the object. Its hull shimmered intermittently, as if struggling to exist in this plane. Pieces of its surface appeared and vanished in impossible geometries, folding into themselves like optical illusions. He knew then that whatever it was, it had not been built by any hand he understood. Message burst. EVA said. The sound came not as a broadcast, but as a thought, pushed into their minds through the interface. Leave. Just one word. It pulsed with intent, raw and invasive. Cheen staggered backward, clutching her skull, blood trailing from her nose. Kael forced EVA to hardlock the link. Cut neural pathways to all secondary crew. Just me, he ordered. The ship obeyed. Isolation surged through him. No one else connected. No minds, but his an EVAce now. It was dangerous, but necessary. If the message struck again, he would bear it alone. He watched the alien craft accelerate, not toward them, but away, toward the edge of the veil. Kael didn't hesitate. Pursuit vector. Keep weapons cold. They followed the thing across shifting space. EVA calculating constantly, adjusting for gravity wells that bloomed like bruises across the field. As they closed in, Kael began to notice more objects. Debris, he thought at first. Then he saw the markings. Terran symbols. Not from Oblivion's edge. From older vessels. Ones never returned. One hull bore the registry TSV Harmonium. Lost 20 years ago. Last seen at the Vega Breach. The ship was torn open. Its interior scorched with surgical precision. Chin, recovering at her post, spoke through gritted teeth. It wasn't a myth. The drift devourers. They really are here. Kael felt the tension spike through the crew. The object they chased veered suddenly, then halted, dead in space. A transmission came through. Not in thought. In voice. You're not ready. This time, the voice was different. Multiple tones layered across each other. Male, female, mechanical, alien, all at once. Kael transmitted back. Who are you? No reply. EVA systems began to spike. Data streams turned to static. Heat levels surged in the drive core. Then, the alien vessel cracked open. It didn't explode. It peeled like a chrysalis. From inside, something emerged, a shape of light and distortion. No clear form, just the echo of form, a presence. EVA's voice trembled for the first time in her existence. This is not a vessel. It's alive. Kael felt the truth of it in his bones. Whatever this was, it hadn't been built. It had been grown, designed not to explore, not to conquer, but to contain something worse. The light form pulsed again, and Kael braced for another mental impact. Instead, it offered something else. A memory. His mind flooded with images. Earth cities burning, but not from the Ceridee. A different war. Future or past. He couldn't tell. A human fleet, bigger than anything yet conceived, torn apart by unseen forces. And one ship, the Oblivion's edge, surviving alone as galaxies screamed in silence. Then darkness. Kael staggered. The memory gone. The alien ship was gone too, vanished without trace. Chin spoke, voice small. What did it show you? Kael didn't answer. Not yet. He turned to EVA, still syncing data from the event. How much did you record? Everything, she replied. But some of it is outside known frameworks. They were no longer alone in the veil. That much was certain. But the question now wasn't what feared humanity. It was why something else wanted them warned. Kael straightened, voice steady once more. Set course for the edge of the Harrowed Veil. We finished the mission. Beyond them, the stars bent again, and something unseen bent with them. The edge of the Harrowed Veil was not a line. It was a slow unraveling. Space itself seemed to fray, each parsec peeling apart like ancient parchment scorched by invisible fire. Kael stood at the helm, fused with Oblivion's edge, seeing not with eyes but with the ship's sensors, his mind laced with EVA's own neural rhythms. Every star beyond the veil flickered like a dying candle. Light filtered through a membrane that defied natural laws. Lieutenant Chin was silent. The last encounter had left her changed. Though her readings showed she had recovered, she spoke less now, her eyes often drifting toward the void as though listening to something Kael could not hear. He didn't press her. They were all shifting, just not in ways they could measure. A new signal pinged the long-range array. Not a distress call, not even a proper transmission. Just a ripple, a warping in background radiation consistent with artificial mass displacement. EVA confirmed it. Something was moving near the border. Something vast. Kael signaled for full spectrum sweep. The result came back quickly, an object the size of a small moon, not orbiting anything, not transmitting, not emitting heat, but moving with purpose. Is it a ship? He asked. EVA hesitated, then answered. If it is unlike anything we've encountered. There is no observable propulsion, No internal energy grid. No mechanical structure. Yet it moves and it listens. That last word clung to Kael like frost. It listens. He authorized a slow approach. Oblivion's edge engaged its silent drive, warping its signature through a cloaked displacement field. Stealth in the veil was unreliable. But EVA adjusted constantly, threading the gaps in distorted gravity. As they neared the object, its full scale became apparent. A jagged, asymmetric monolith floating in the dark, impossibly still. Its surface was not metal, not stone, something in between, pulsing faintly with lines of energy that danced like veins beneath skin. And then it responded. A voice. Not like the last one, not invasive, but intimate, seductive in its calm. You seek the boundary, but you have already crossed it. Kael's jaw tensed. He didn't answer aloud. EVA had already begun recording. Cheen stepped forward. Sir, there's another signal, embedded beneath the vocal layer. Repeating. Kael nodded. Decode it. It took less than 3 seconds. The hidden signal was a human distress code from TSV Vindicator, a Terran warship presumed destroyed 40 years ago in an uncharted slipstream jump. It had never returned. No wreckage had ever been found. What the hell is this? Cheen murmured. EVA replied before Kael could. Something is echoing lost Terran vessels. Either this construct is capturing their signals, or it is mimicking them. Kael made a decision. Prep boarding team. EVA, keep shield at full standby. I want full neural backups every 60 seconds. The shuttle detachment was small. Kael, Cheen, and 2 war tech specialists. EVA didn't argue. She couldn't. But Kael sensed her unease, a subroutine loop flashing within the link, as if she were trying to compute a future with too many variables. The docking approach was seamless. The structure allowed their presence, no interference. The shuttle's landing arms latched onto a smooth surface that unfolded silently to form a bay, exposing a dark corridor within, an invitation without words. The interior was nothing like the exterior. White, seamless, almost sterile. A place not built for function, but containment. No gravity. No noise. The walls shimmered with light pulses that followed them as they moved, like retinal tracking. It felt less like a ship and more like a womb. Cheen's breathing grew shallow. I hear it again. That voice. Not words. Just intent. Kael tapped into his wrist link. EVA environmental readout. Atmosphere present. Chemically inert. No life forms detected. But the structure is adjusting itself. I advise withdrawal. He ignored the suggestion. They pressed forward. Then they found it. A chamber, vast and domed, where gravity resumed suddenly. The room contained no seats, no consoles, no controls. Just a single figure. Floating. Human. Or something close. The being's body shimmered with bioluminescence. Veins of golden light flowing beneath translucent skin. Its eyes opened as they entered. Not surprised, not hostile. Familiar. Kael stepped closer. Identify yourself. The figure blinked once. Then spoke, voice soft and strange. I was Adrian Kael. Silence. Cheen froze. Kael's breath caught in his throat. The figure continued. Not you. Not now. But once. Or what you could become. This is a prison, Kael, and I am its key. Kael stepped back. EVA's voice came through in a whisper of alarm. Commander, telemetry is folding. You are inside a recursive temporal loop. Data confirms genetic similarity with the subject. 87%. This may be you. From a collapsed potential timeline. The chamber began to darken. The being, his echo, reached out. You are the knife they forged in fear. But this place was built not to keep things out. It was built to keep you in. Kael drew his weapon, not in aggression, but in defiance of the spiraling fear. What are you warning me about? The echo did not blink. The truth, that your kind was not feared for what it did, but for what it became. A pulse rippled through the chamber, a shudder of energy that knocked them backward. EVA's voice snapped like thunder. Collapse event detected. Evacuation required. Kael didn't hesitate. Fall back. Now. The shuttle detached seconds before the structure imploded into a singular point of light and vanished. Back on the bridge, Kael sat in silence. Cheen trembled beside him, blood on her palms again. EVA's core flickered uneasily. He closed his eyes. They had come seeking fear. Instead, they had found prophecy. And the question clawed at him now: was humanity feared because it was dangerous, or because it was destined to be something worse? And somewhere deep within Oblivion's edge, EVA began to dream again. The silence after return was heavier than any storm. Oblivion's edge drifted just outside the Harrowed Veil. Its systems battered, its crew diminished. EVA had locked down her own core temporarily, processing data too volatile to expose even to Kael. They'd survived the encounter with a recursive entity. His echo, his future, or something stranger. But survival no longer felt like victory. It felt like delay. Kael stood alone in the observation chamber, eyes fixed on the remnants of the void. The veil shimmered faintly, a membrane between realities, pulsing like a heartbeat. He tried to remember Earth, not the maps and simulations, but the air, the scent of old steel in the shipyards, his mother's garden after rain. Memory seemed foreign now, distant. Footsteps approached. Cheen entered without announcing herself, her neural link deactivated, her eyes darker than before. "You haven't spoken since we left Construct," she said. He didn't turn. "Words don't fit what we saw." She stepped closer. EVA's decrypted the full echo. The memory you received, it wasn't just a warning. It was a record, a sealed timestamp from the last Terran incursion before the collapse. Kael turned slowly. The collapse was a myth. That's what they told us. Cheen shook her head. It wasn't a natural event. It was engineered. By us. She handed him a tablet. The visual sprang to life. Dozens of human ships swarming a rift, manipulating graviton fields, tearing the veil to reach something beyond. Not to escape. To unleash. The entity from the construct, his echo, stood among them. His body reshaped by time and exposure. Not a man, not entirely. Something evolved, and the last line of the transmission burned into the screen. "They fear what you will choose to become." Kael handed the tablet back, eyes unreadable. "So they locked us away. Not to punish. To prevent. Or to buy time," Cheen replied. "Until you came." Kael looked up at her. "Then what now?" She hesitated. "EVA says the data in the construct contain coordinates. One final set, deep beyond known space. No map shows it, but the signal carries a signature older than any known civilization." He considered that. A trap. Or an answer. EVA's voice crackled back online, subdued but calm. "I've run 1,000 simulations. None end with ignorance. If we remain still, others will find what we've seen. The choice is not if we go, only when." Kael felt the decision forming before he even acknowledged it. It had never been about orders. Not anymore. The fleet hadn't known. The brass hadn't known. This was older, deeper, a buried legacy waiting to be uncovered or contained again. He walked slowly to the central command platform. The lights dimmed as he approached, the bridge awakening to his presence. "EVA, set a course. Full stealth vector. Minimum signature. We go alone." Cheen stepped beside him, saying nothing, but he could feel the resolve in her. As the ship turned, space seemed to warp ahead, like something recognized them, welcomed them. Kael didn't flinch. The coordinates glowed on the screen, impossible, unreachable, and real. Engage drive. The stars stretched into streaks as Oblivion's edge leapt forward. No applause. No farewell. In the dark, the truth waited. Not about what humans had done, but what they would choose to become next.